thank you again.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Lord.
Allowing us to rise this morning.
Yes, Lord.
To hear your word, Lord, and to thank you for your grace, love, and mercy.
Yes, Lord.
We just thank you for all that you've done.
Yes.
Thank you for having us as a people.
Yes, Lord.
We thank you for loving us as a people, Lord. For we don't know why you love us so much, Lord, because we're not worthy of your love. But we just thank you for all that.
Thank you.
Thank you for the children that are protesting for their lives. And we just thank you for the people that were really trying to seek your word, Lord.
Yes, Lord.
In Jesus' name I pray.
Jesus.
Amen.
Amen.
It's on.
Is it on? Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. I'm going to speak on this morning on an old familiar story. A story in which it had some significant pieces for my life as an infant. And the story will come out of Exodus chapter 2. There say amen.
Mercy. Amen.
Exodus chapter 2. I'm going to read the first 10 verses.
Amen.
Exodus chapter 2, verse 1 through 10. And there went a man of the house of Levi, and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him that he was a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could not longer hide him, she took for him an ark of bulrushes, and daubed it with slime and with pitch, and put the child therein. And she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river. And her maidens walked along by the riverside, and when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, This is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister to Pharaoh, Daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, Go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away, and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moses. And she said, Because I drew him out of the water.
All right. Amen. Amen. I like that.
If I want to name this chapter, I will call it Shaped by Grace.
Shaped by grace. All right.
Shaped by grace.
All right.
We all have been shaped by grace. Amen.
Amen.
But I'm not talking about the shape of our bodies.
Amen.
Lord help us. I'm talking about the shape of our lives. Amen.
Amen.
Only we blew that out of proportion. In this chapter, there is a life on the line. But the shaping of the grace of God took place for the life. The message that geared this life, if you're familiar with chapter 1, is the life of Moses. To be on the line here is that of tyranny and oppression, where a king arose and looked upon the children of Israel and was afraid that they would overpower them because they were big in numbers and very mighty. So the king set rulers over them to try to afflict them, but they grew even mightier and exceeded in numbers. So he found some midwives to handle the birthing of the Hebrew women of the children of Israel, because he had ordered a decree and that to kill all the male children and save the female children alive.
Amen.
But the midwives feared God and did not carry out the king's decree. Amen. And it was found out, and the king ordered that for every male child alive to be thrown into the river. So during this time, unjust treatment, a life was saved.
Mm.
Chapter 1, a man and a woman of the house of Levi. Now, you would wonder why they said a man and a woman of the house of Levi when they pronounced that the man was Amram and the woman was Jochebed further in chapter 6, verse 20. So you know how they say in the old day, old Jonel and Raynell, you know that was their child back in the day. We see them together all the time. So you would wonder why they didn't mention him those names before this time. So in other words, you know, if you've seen a couple together all the time, that's their child. You know them two knucklehead boys of Jonel's children. So verse 2, man, amen. And the woman conceived and bare a son, and when she saw him, that he was a goodly child. Now this wasn't no ordinary baby. This was a fair child that was fair in the sight of God. Amen.
That's right.
It was a fair child. So the lady saw that he was good, the mother, and she hid him 3 months. Mm-hmm. And when she could no longer hide him, wonder why that was. Somebody in the neighborhood told it on. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
We stayed in an apartment complex one time. And I'm not gonna say apartment complex, it was a project. But you know how we wanna say apartment complex. The apartment complex is that complex on the end of Main Street. But it was the projects, all right?
Amen.
So we stayed in the projects and we couldn't have pets. So we had a pet named Pee Weezer. Okay, Pee Weezer, he wasn't the one that pee all over the place. He was trained.
Amen.
But we called him Pee Weezer, and he was a good dog, and he was very smart, and we took him out to use the restroom. And another couple, family over there had a dog too. But somebody told it on us.
Amen.
So we had to get rid of Pee Weezer.
Amen.
Okay, so now we got rid of Pee Weezer. They sent a conviction notice saying we're going to get evicted if we don't get rid of the dog. Okay, so we got rid of our dog, but the family over here still had their dog. Oh, my mama Karen called the office. Okay, you got a dog over here. I thought we couldn't have pets. So she called the office. They kept coming and trying to see where the dog was. They kept taking the dog somewhere else. 2 days later, the dog returned. Out there running around. I said, wait a minute. This dog's still here. So she called the office again and said, hey, this dog is still here. But ma'am, we went up there, we didn't see no dog because they keep sitting it somewhere. So they came again. Eventually, finally, after 2 or 3 times, I think they finally got rid of the dog because we didn't see his dog anymore. Amen. So somebody had to tell on her because I know somebody's child had already got thrown in the river that they told it on her. Okay, she took for him, verse 3, she took for him an ark of bulrushes. Now these are some tall, stiff bushes where they can weave baskets with. And pitch and put the child therein. Now I looked up the word pitch. It was so many definitions of the word pitch, I just pitched it right on to the left. But I finally found a story that a couple of words that would probably fit with this particular passage. Right? It was a slant or an angle. So obviously she knew how to make this basket and put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags. Now flags are some of camouflage. So by the river's brink. Now brink in my book says edge. So she made this basket with an angle or a slant, and she laid it in the camouflage of the bushes, and she laid it on the edge. So you know this is shaped by grace.
Amen.
Amen. All this is happening, and God is within the midst. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, verse 4. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done with him. Now look at her. She's daring. She's a daring sister. She's bold. And if she's staring far off trying to figure out what's going on with her brother, somebody could have been watching her. Wonder what she's looking at. What you looking at? She could have been getting in trouble then. Amen. So, and the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river. Now, somebody knew that she was coming down there all the time to wash herself. So, you know how you know in the neighborhood, your drunk Uncle Joe, he always go down to the liquor store at 5 o'clock on Saturday night. If you want to find drunk Uncle Joe, that's where he gonna be. Amen. And her maiden walked along the riverside, and when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. Now, don't you have compassion on a child when it starts crying? Mm-hmm. Amen. And when a child is born, don't they bring joy? Oh, yeah. They bring joy. You be happy for some reason to see a little born baby. Mm-hmm. And she had compassion on him. Now, if she had compassion on him, just listen here. Pharaoh's daughter was in a conditioned state of hate. You know, she's coming from a man that's hating on people. That what you think she's doing. The prince said it real good when he had the song. Doves fly, I don't know what it was, but he was conditioned by his parents because he said he may be his father, too bold, or he may be his mother, she's never satisfied. So Pharaoh's daughter had to be conditioned of a state of hate because she had compassion on him. Now that's God. Mm-hmm. You know, that's really God. And said, this is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said, verse 7, then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women? Then she may nurse the child for thee. Now, note this. The daughter done went up to Pharaoh's daughter. Wasn't she bold? Mm-hmm. Of course, the daughter didn't see her watching the basket. At first, and then as she rolled up on Pharaoh's daughter. That's where she come from. You know, bold. She's really bold. Okay, and so then said the sister to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call to thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? Mm-hmm. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, take this child away and nurse it for thee, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. Now the enemy is getting paid. All right. All right. She's getting paid to nurse her own child. Ain't that something? Mm-hmm. And the child grew, and she brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son, and she called his name Moses. And she said, because I drew him out of the water. Mm-hmm. Now, this particular story has a significant part of my life when I was an infant child. Right. And that I was thrown from a house fire. Mm-hmm. And my mom had went to the store, and she came, someone ran down to the store and said, Miss England, Miss Joyce, she wasn't England then. Miss Joyce, she'd been married 3-4 times. Miss Joyce, your house is on fire, Miss Joyce. And she said, oh my God. So during that time, what it was told me, I was 8 months old. Oh, that was pitched out in the yard at 8 months old, right? And so she was coming home to see what was going on with the family. But during that time, our sister had took a broom and beat the man that was watching us. He was asleep. I don't know if he was drunk or hard at work or what was he doing, but he was asleep, and she beat him in the head with the broom. And I had 2 brothers. I don't know what they was doing, but when I grew up and learned that they were greedy, I figured that they was trying to get the food out the refrigerator. While I'm out in the grass rolling around trying to douse myself out. And so my mother finally made it home, and you know, it's the grace of God that we didn't get hurt with that house fire. It's the grace of God that I'm standing here today. You know, I was on the edge of the river's brink, amen. And you know, I'm standing here today. You know, I could have been burnt up, but I think I'm short because they burnt some of my legs. I know they had to sew my feet off of what was left, amen. But it's the grace of God that I'm here. Amen. And you know, it's really amazing that how you hear things back in the day. That this story really just got my heart because I could have been not here. Amen. You know, Amen. They threw me out, pitched me out in the yard. I don't know how far the yard was from the porch, but I was pitched out there. Amen. It probably stunted my growth, but I was pitched out there. And I thank God I'm short. And I thank God I'm alive. Amen. 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 But on verse 10 is the same river that was decreed for his death became the channel for his salvation. And he was shaped by grace, amen?
Amen.
I was shaped by grace thrown in his
Yeah,
heart,
yeah,
amen?
yeah.
But now as we have message with the shape of grace and how God worked his divine will miraculously through these individuals, 2 feared midwives, 1 determined mother, 1 daring sister, and 1 compassionate daughter of an evil king. For Moses' life to be spared and later to be used to deliver a multitude of bondage. And I thank God for delivering me from that yard, but he know I can't deliver nobody else because I can't turn no snake from no stick. I be scared as hell, and like I said, hell is in the Bible.
Amen.
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 All right.
Amen.
Are you the infant Moses that needs someone in your life that is concerned about your well-being like the sister Moses and make sure that you reach your destiny in life? Are you the infant Moses that need unconditional love to pluck you out of the river of life, drowning in your finances?
Come on.
Don't have a
Yeah.
church home. Your significant other weighing you down.
Amen.
No food, bad habits, sickness, or whatever your problem is.
Right.
Get into the fold of Jesus and be shaped by God. Our lives have been decreed since Eden. Satan is on the move. God knows how to hide you from your enemies in the comfort of his arms.
That's right.
Be
Amen.
determined to keep praising and seeking
Amen.
him.
Amen.
And dare for anybody or anyone to stop you. And be compassionate with others with their ways. And life was on the line. But God worked it out. Amen.